And I was at the time, I was working with Berkeley County Sheriff's Department. I was a deputy reserve there for them, and I was on an assignment. And my wife had called me on the phone. She says, "You need to come home now." I said, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Are the boys okay?" She said, "Yeah, but you got to come home now." I said, "Well, what's wrong?" She says, "Tom, come home." Sorry. Okay. And when I got home, I pulled in, and which I was in my police cruiser and everything too, but I pulled in, and his father was in the driveway standing there, and he immediately come up saying, "Hi, how you doing?" He said, "Well, I've heard about your sickness, you had a heart attack and stuff," and he said, "I just want to, if Michael could still stay, if I give you some money to help out." And I said, "I don't want your money." I said, "I don't mind helping somebody." I said, "But no, he's not staying." And so we started talking, and we kind of moved around the back side of our house, and my wife came out the back door on the porch, and his name's Chris Jensen, and she actually said, "Chris, have you told Tom yet?" And he just kept talking to me like he didn't even hear her. And she said it again. I said, "Juliet's talking to you." I said, "What's she talking about?" "No, I haven't said anything yet." I said, "What is going on?" And Juliet says, "If you don't tell him, I'm going to." So he said, "Well, Michael had to go into court today. He's been accused of hurting some children." And I said, "Hurting children? What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, it's nothing, Matt. I can't even talk about it. I'm sorry." I said, "Well, who's the family? Who was it?" "Oh, I can't tell you that name." And I said, "You can't tell me the name?" And Juliet says, "Chris, you tell him or I will." And so he told me the name. And I said, "Wait, that's a different name from another mother that just told me this a couple of weeks ago." And he said, "Well, I don't know nothing about that one." And I says, "No," I said, "You need to get your son, and you need to get out of here." And he said, "Well, can we come back this evening and get the stuff?" I said, "Sure." I said, "But he's not to come in the house." I said, "Keep him in the car. You can come to the door, and I'll give you his stuff." And so immediately we go inside. My wife and I, we sit our children down, and we try to talk to them one-on-one. And they still denied, but my youngest had tears in his eyes, and I told my wife, I says, "Something's happened." And I said, "I know it in my heart," and she did too. And so we called the counselor and tried to set an appointment up with them to talk, to see if someone professional who could see would know more about this. And but the counselor saw him, and the counselor says, "Well, there's something there, and it'll take a few sessions to see what it is." And I said, "Well, should I try to talk to it?" She says, "Don't." She said, "Just be a loving parent like you are. When they're ready, if something happened, they'll talk to you about it." So in the meantime, Michael Jensen's just floating around from house to house. They're putting him someplace else. About 2 weeks passed. Well, a wonderful young lady who I was her family's home teacher for like 14 years. Their father and their family was excommunicated. I was always their home teacher. They called me Dad. They called my mom. They were just like family. I knew them from like 6 up to 17, 18, 19 years old. She was staying with us, and she went to a church activity, and she had mentioned to my wife that she was hanging out with Michael Jensen. And I called her on the phone. I said, "No." I said, and I told her what had been said. "Oh, well, I'm safe. I'll make sure I'm safe." And I said, "Well, you need to come back home here now." I said, "He's not safe to be around." And about an hour later, she did come back home, but I was asleep already, and because she was at a church activity with him. And about 3 days later, my wife comes in the bedroom. She said, "I got to talk to you, Tom." I said, "What? What's happened?" She said, "I just got off the phone talking." I won't say the young lady's name, and but she had told me that Michael Jensen has hurt her, and that he had raped her in the church parking lot, and said that she's hurt really bad, and said she has cuts, bruises. She had bite marks all over her body. I was like, "What?" I said, "Go to the police now." They said, "Well, she wants you to help her." I said, "Where is she? We'll go get her now." "Well, she's on her way here to the house now." So I talked to her, and I said, you got to get photographs these, because I could see the bite marks, and I mean, she didn't address anything like that, nothing inappropriately, but you could see the teeth marks that this animal bit this little girl. Well, she was 19, but he bit her. It was awful. So I called the state police, and I talked to them. I told them what had happened. They said, can you bring her in tomorrow? So my wife and I, we took her into the state police. You know, they got statements and photographs there. They took copies of her photographs that her mom took of her for them. In the meantime, I called the state president. I says, this is what's happened. What is going on?
And what year is this now?
This is still 2012.
Still
When he was still back, ready to go back on his mission.
Wow.
Yeah. And the state president says, what? Tom, you need to bring her to me now. I said, state president said, I'm not bringing her to you. I said, I have her going to the police today. What? Why are you doing that? I said, it's the thing to do, President Grow. Okay, well, can you get her to me this evening after she meets there? I gotta talk to her. And I said, yeah. I said, I'll ask her if she wants to, she can. My wife took her that night to meet the state president. She came out, she came back home. She was in tears and crying, and we talked to her, and she said that she had told the state president everything. And she said, state president, she has to go through a repentance process. And I said, a repentance process? She said, well, I shouldn't have been out in the van talking to him, you know, alone. Because, you know, young men, young women are not supposed to be alone like that, even though he's, 21, a missionary, and she's 19. But he said that she had to go through a repentance process because, you know, she knew better to be out there. You don't be alone with a guy like that. But he had told her, well, it's not your fault, but, you know, you made some choices that you should have made better choices. And if I'd have been, I don't know, I should have went and knocked him out then. I really should have, but it just infuriated me. So I went to the state president again, and because I was trying to do everything right. I said, President Grove, and even Bishop Fish, I says, you've got to stand up. You've got to hold some meetings, or, you know, during Sunday school or priesthood, Relief Society. You've got to talk to parents. I said, you've got to let them know about this so they could talk to. What? We can't do that, Tom. I don't want to hurt his family's reputation. And I said, but he's a criminal. I said, what he did is wrong. Well, he hasn't been tried yet. And you know, hasn't been to court and tried and found guilty of it. I said, found guilty of it? I said, President Grove, she had bite marks all over her. And I said, he's been, you know, got these complaints abusing these children. I said, you're not going to do, no, we can't do that. I said, well, I'll do it. What? You can't do that. And I said, well, yeah, I can. So I went home and I told my wife, and we immediately started to, anybody we thought that he stayed with, we sent him a message. You need to talk to your children of what's happened. And so I got a phone call that the state president wants to talk to me. I thought, sure, I'll come talk to you. I go in and he says, I'm hearing these rumors that you're telling people go to the police and stuff, and you're calling people. I said, it's not a rumor, it's a fact. And he hit his hand down like that. Ow, hurt my thumb. And that's okay. But he said, Tom, you don't have the priesthood authority to do that. Why are you calling these members? I said, they got to know. I said, they need to go to the police. He said, that's not how we do it, Tom. He said, you're supposed to come to your bishop and your stake president. And he pulled this book over. He opened it. He said, see this number right here? He said, this is the helpline number. We're to report to the helpline number in Salt Lake City. And they'll tell us what we need to do to help them heal and to, you know, get past this. And so I said, well, President Grow, all due respect to you, you can stick your book where the sun don't shine. I said, because I'm going to the police and I'm going to tell everybody I can. Well, we don't want that in the church. Do not be causing contention in the church, you know, in the meetings and stuff. So I left there pretty angry, but I also left there hurt. And I don't mean to make any of this about me, because it's not. But I was like, I just served with you, President Grow. I've been serving with you for 4 or 5 years. And I was hurt. I was crushed. This was a man that I thought was godly as they could come, you know? And I'm like, why? And, you know, I asked him, I said, why would you say that? He says, That's how it's done. He said, it's in my book, my book here, what I'm supposed to, handbook of instruction.